Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Town of Lexington Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. This board is comprised of town citizens. We are appointed by town council and we serve with no pay. We are a legal board operating under the Comprehensive Planning Act of the state of South Carolina. And although this meeting may not seem as formal as a hearing in court, all statements must still be true, factual, and not made in a manner to mislead us. Please understand that we must make our decisions within the parameters of state law, and state law requires us to grant a variance if and only if we find each of the following four statements are true. Number one, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property in question because of its size, shape, or topography. Number two, these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. Number three, because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. Number four, the authorization of the variance will not be of any substantial detriment to adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by granting the variance. Moreover, state law prohibits us from granting a variance simply because the property could be used more profitably if the variance were granted. We are not concerned with the use of the property. The use of the property is determined by others. We ask that you confine your remarks to the issues at hand. Should we make a decision you believe to be incorrect, you may appeal our decision to the circuit court within a certain amount of time with certain time limits provided by the state law. In cases such as that, an appeal is made. It is important that the circuit court knows who testified at this meeting. So please sign in the sign-in sheet and identify yourself before speaking. I'm gonna make me use my gavel because somebody's phone's ringing. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Glad you're here this evening. I'd like to hear from staff on our first item, please.
All right, variance number 2025-2 from the signed ordinance at 325 South Lake Drive. 325 South Lake LLC has submitted a request for a variance from the Town of Lexington signed ordinance to permit the construction of a new monument sign within the site visibility triangle at 325 South Lake Drive. The applicant is currently renovating an existing apartment complex at this location and plans to install a new monument sign as part of the renovations. The proposed sign will be relocated from the original sign location due to its nonconformity and placement within the right-of-way. The new sign location is in a designated curb area and complies with the required sign setback. However, the proposed location will encroach upon the site visibility triangle.
Okay, any questions for staff at this point? Okay, I'd like to hear from the applicant, please.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Chairman. Good
Your
to
name,
see you.
please?
Rob McAllister.
Thank you, Rob.
Absolutely.
Wow, Rob, I didn't even recognize you.
I know, it's been a long time since you've been in the gloom. Good to see you, too.
Nice to see you, sir.
So we acquired the apartments at 325 South Lake in April of last year. We have been going through a very substantial renovation of all the units in there. Close to $1 million of investment, which is we're excited to be able to bring to the town of Lexington. Part of our marketing plan has been to install a brand new sign, monument sign on the property that's going to be benefiting for marketing purposes, but not only that, it'll be a prominent place for people to identify for emergency purposes the address of the property, for them to be able to see how to enter and exit the property appropriately. Prior sign, like Ms. Libran said, was actually in the right-of-way, and so we're relocating it to be out of the right-of-way. And so we'd love you guys to take a look at our application favorably. Colite Industries is our contractor, and so if you have any specific questions, I'll ask Irina to come up and answer. So.
About how far is this sign going to be away from the edge of the pavement?
I'm going to defer to Irina.
Here.
Per the plan,
I'm sorry?
per the plan submitted, it looks like it's 17.5 feet from edge of pavement.
So that's the leading edge towards the road is 17 and a half feet away?
From the road to this, to where
You
the
can step up, ma'am.
sign begins?
Yes.
Okay.
Please identify yourself for the record.
Irina Stevens, and I'm representing Colite Sign Manufacturer.
Thank you. So 17 and a half feet?
Yes, that's what the site plan shows.
Okay.
So, one question that I drove by there on the way here, I'm a visual person. There's a temporary sign that's in place currently. Is that the approximate location of where the permanent sign would be located?
No, it is not.
Okay, can you tell me the positioning relevant to where the temporary sign is right now, just for me to,
Okay, temporary sign will be removed, and then once you drive a little bit down, there is a driveway, and as you come to the driveway to the right, there is a little curb area that is designated for the sign, and that's where we're going to put the new
Okay, but
line.
there's a sign
There's
in
two-
that curb area currently?
correct? Yes, there was a sign as I
Yes,
just
there
drove
is a
by.
sign.
You're absolutely right. They just installed that actually this week. I'm so sorry. That is a brand new thing they put there as part of the marketing effort. So yes, it's a temporary sign that's in that space right now.
There's two of them there now?
No, there's one in the original position of the old sign, and then there's a second sign that's like it's on 4x4 post. It looks to be a vinyl sign of some kind.
Yeah, it looks, it
Very temporary.
looks to be temporary, but my question is, the one that's inside the curb, is that going to be the placement of where you are requesting for the permanent sign location to be?
That's correct. Yeah, within the curving area. Yes, ma'am. That's right.
Okay. Not further, closer to the road, not, okay. Okay.
And just speaking to that sign, that was a banner. It was a temporary, we were told that it's a temporary banner that they were installing, the property management company.
It was for sure temporary. I mean, you could tell it was a
Yeah, yeah,
temporary
it is.
placement. Yeah.
We're just using it as,
I'm just using it as a visual reference to
Sure.
kind of gauge.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I didn't realize that was installed.
no.
No worries.
Evidently, the staff didn't either. We'll make a note about that one. So, looking at that sign that's there, if that's the placement of it, that one, Dawn, too, looks like it's probably taller than what they're proposing.
It did look to be, I mean,
Because
because,
it was 2 feet, the banner was 2 feet above, you could see underneath,
yeah.
about 2 feet.
But I think that, I mean, if I'm reading all of the measurements correctly, it looked to me like there's going to be kind of a foundation that is about 2 feet that the sign would sit on top of, the permanent sign. Is that right? I mean,
The sign, the overall height from grade will be 5 feet.
from the ground up?
Yeah.
From the
That's what
ground-
I was,
From
okay.
grade up. 5
So
feet.
it's probably proximate to what it would be?
And the sign itself, Jessica, the sign itself meets requirements?
The only
Okay.
problem where it does not is the site visibility triangle issue.
If I may speak to that point, I think the case that we were wanting to present was the fact that our property is 17 feet off of the actual road, which, when you're talking about site triangles, the actual ingress egress of the property, people are not going to be inhibited in seeing what's coming and going when they're exiting the property or coming in by the sign, because it's set very far off of the road itself.
See, and that's where I'm having difficulty, because what's presented to us and what I'm looking at here, and that's what I'm trying, that's the thing I was saying to you guys, I'm seeing there, and this drawing that you have submitted is showing the leading edge, and what I'm calling the leading edge is what's closest to the road is 5 feet from the property line. My board members, there's no sidewalk on that side, but what I'm trying to figure out is where's the road as opposed to the property line?
33 feet to the center line from the property line.
So per the site plan, the property line is 12 and a half feet from the edge of pavement, give or take.
Okay, so that's,
Page 4 gives a visual as to
Yes.
where the edge of the
I
yeah.
think she's talking
Yeah.
about this one.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking at the combination of the three, and especially in the photograph that's shown here.
Yeah.
See, when you look at,
And the poles,
I'm sorry,
a couple of feet outside the pavement.
so see, when you're looking at this here, there's the 5 feet from the front edge of the sign to where the curbing stops. And then there's another 17 feet
that it?
to the road.
To the road.
Yeah,
So from where the curbing stops, you think there's another 17 feet?
No, this one here.
I mean,
So
it looked like,
this is the 5 feet here, and then there's 17 feet from here to where the road is. And this is what I was looking at.
Your whole
This is a
car
telephone
being-
pole.
Right, yeah.
So there'd have to be, so you've got
I don't either.
12 and a half, so
Another 5, so you've got your,
So the kit, all right, so Justin and I were just saying, if you look at this drawing,
yes,
it's showing 12 and a half feet from the property line to where this power pole is. So you know that's not in the middle of the road, I hope.
No, you can visually tell it's
So
3 or 4
Right.
feet
You're
off
12 and a half here and then another 5 feet back, so now we're at that close to 18 feet. Because my concern was, looking at this, I didn't see that in the plan, that there was 5 feet from the front leading edge of the sign at the curb cut, and any car that was made prior to, when the hoods were that long, you can't see past the end of the hood to see past the sign. Because I'm just concerned that coming down that hill, many of us has driven on it, that might be a traffic or safety issue
yeah.
to take a left out of there. Am I right? Am I reading that right? I'm looking at you. Am I understanding that correctly? That it's from the side of the road, we're 17 and a half something
Yes.
feet?
Yes, from the edge of pavement.
Yeah.
Or the
Okay.
site plan, yes.
but the side triangle
So is
requires that
it
it be
correct? I
17
mean,
feet from the edge.
as I drove past
The
it,
site triangle says to start at the property line.
Okay, not the edge of the road. Okay.
All right,
as I
so-
drove past it, it appeared that your entire vehicle would be in front of the sign before you, so you had full visibility to make your turn.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a correct,
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
is that the intent?
That's the intent, absolutely.
Okay, I have a question. Whoever's doing the sign, could you please step up? Approximately, what is this distance here from the back of the sign to the inside edge of the curb? Approximately.
Approximately, I'm thinking at least.
Is that this number here?
Says
Is this 2
2 feet,
feet?
Yes, approximately 1.5 to 2 feet, yes.
Okay.
That's estimation.
Okay, thank you. I know we're looking at this and saying, first off, does anybody have any other questions for the applicants?
No.
Is anybody here speaking against this ordinance one way or the other? Just hang, we're going to talk now. Y'all can sit down if you're awkwardly uncomfortable or. I'm not that guy. My concern, I get the 17 and a half feet, right? But the reason the right-of-way is there, because if the road has to expand, they have to put another lane in. We give this variance, there's the real possibility that some of that 12 and a half feet goes away. So I'm not opposed to doing it, but I still feel like it should be as far, personally, I feel like it should be as far back as we can get it into that island for the thought, because what is that road designated, Jessica, or do you know?
It is part of the preservation corridor. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure it is.
And for my knowledge, that means that it would not be allowed to be widened? Or
No,
what
it's
does that
just-
mean exactly?
If they redevelop, there would be a 20-foot buffer and a 30-foot. It changes, it has different development standards
Okay.
to preserve in case we do
I'm with you.
eventually expand that road.
Okay. That makes sense.
You seem to be deep in thought.
Deep in listening.
Ron?
I don't see a problem with it at this point. Can we add a caveat that if the road is wide and the sign will have to move?
That would be my question.
You are able to put conditions upon variance.
Okay, that was my question.
Okay. Does anyone have a motion?
I don't like doing it. You do
We're
it.
going to work on that.
And we are.
I don't like
I don't like reading all that.
I'll
You got
fumble
it?
my way through it, yeah.
I got one. You got it?
You got it already? Go for it.
No, you go ahead. I'll get the next one.
You-
Rock, paper, scissors?
All right.
Until you
I'll fumble
sit
my
up
way
here
through
and
it.
see the daunting task of this little blue piece of paper, you don't understand.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd like to make a motion to approve variance 2025-2 based on the following findings. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property in question because of its size, shape, or topography, it being that the road right-of-way, or the town-owned, county-owned road right-of-way kind of limits their ability to put a sign near the road. The conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity because lack of green space in other places. Because of these conditions, the particular ordinance, or the application of this particular ordinance to the piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property, because you wouldn't be able to put a sign near the road so that people could actually see where the entrance and exit was of the property. The authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance because this signage looks much better than the old signage that was there on this particular piece of property. It's an upgrade. The curbing appears to be a little safer around the sign, and it does not impact truly the visual sight lines. I would like to make all this conditional upon, if the road is ever widened, that the sign does have to come down.
To be moved into compliance.
Yes.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Well, you need a second.
Oh,
Second.
second, I'm sorry, I got
Second.
ahead of myself. Can I have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you. It's been 2 months, I forgot. Roll call vote, please.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
You have your variance. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Now, Rob, just come here for a second, because I hadn't seen you in forever.
Yeah, man, it's good to see you. I'll get out there again. I actually worked out on Tuesday for about 3 years.
It's very nice to see you, sir.
See you, man. We'll see you soon.
All right. All right. Next variance.
All right, variance 2025-3 is a variance request from the building setback requirements at 4295 Sunset Boulevard. Chick-fil-A Inc. has submitted a request for a variance from the Town of Lexington setback ordinance to install a dual-lane outdoor canopy over the drive-through at 4295 Sunset Boulevard. To construct the dual-lane outdoor canopy, the structure must comply with the current setback requirements of 30 feet from the front property line. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow the covered porch to be set back, or the covered awning to be set back 21.1 feet from the property line.
I have a question, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes,
Just for clarification, I know there are two,
there are. We're going to handle them separately.
and that's because,
We want to keep them, they're two different requests. So for record-keeping purposes, one, the applicant requested to keep them separate, and two, we prefer to keep them separate for our files as well.
that's fine. Just this is the first time I've seen it, something
Because
like this.
The
and so-
building setback is in relation to the canopy, and the buffer, the next request is in relation to the curbing for the drive-through. So it is technically two separate issues.
Okay. Applicant would like to speak?
Hello, good evening. My name is Paul Lawler. I'm with Bowman Consulting Group. We're the engineer working with Chick-fil-A on this project. Also have some Chick-fil-A representatives here, program lead and development manager. Yeah, they have the fancy name
I'm sure it's their
badges.
pleasure to be here.
I do have some updated site plans, if it's
Yes,
acceptable to
please.
present those.
Sure.
Sure. Make sure you give one to Jessica, too. Or as well. Let me use my words better.
Thank you.
See, that's clearer. Now you can see.
And just to clarify, there were no changes to the variance request itself, so no adjustments to the dimensions or designs for the variance. Just our latest and greatest site plan that we want to make sure is implemented in the presentation tonight. So, thanks, staff, for giving that overview. Really just kind of wanted to touch on the project as a whole, highlight some of the existing conditions on the site, the proposed improvements, and then obviously the building setback request that we're here tonight for. So the current Chick-fil-A, is everyone familiar with this Chick-fil-A? So the current drive-through configuration is a 2-lane at the order point, so the order canopy, and then it tapers down to a single lane as you go around the building. Stays 1 lane through the meal delivery point and continues as 1 lane to the exit point. So that is kind of what the main reason for the project is. We're looking to implement a 2-lane drive-through facility through the entire drive-through area. It would taper down to 1 lane after the meal delivery point, as shown on this site plan. And so some other existing conditions just to highlight. There is a sign parcel that is up near the intersection. So there's an existing large sign that is for the overall development interior down Jenny Lane. And that is on a separate parcel. So as shown on the site plan, there's kind of a 90-degree angle that cuts into the property. The other condition that's interesting to the site is the Sunset Boulevard 378 right-of-way there. And it is angled. And then we have a building angled as well. And then the parking is at a separate angle. So we're kind of working with 3 separate angles on this site that are kind of creating some pinch points interior of the development. So to discuss the proposed improvements, the 2 drive-through lane improvements, with this project, one of the new standards within Chick-fil-A is to implement team member safety zones. So we have some striping shown on the site plan. As y'all are probably aware, there are team members continuously taking orders, walking through the drive-through facility, delivering meals. So as part of the new standards that we've been implementing on sites, it is a 2-foot wide striped area on the inside for team members to walk up and down, and then also a 3-foot wide striped area between the 2 lanes. So that is implemented on this project. We have drive-through lanes 9 feet in width. The standard for Chick-fil-A is 10 feet plus. 9 feet is absolute minimum, so we've decreased our drive-through lane as much as we can to limit impacts on the north side of this site. And then a couple other items. The Sunset Boulevard, there is a large grade difference, probably about 4 to 5 feet between Sunset Boulevard and the drive-through facility. So just want to keep that in mind as we're discussing this widened drive-through area. And then there also the screen walls that are along the drive-through facility that are currently there. They're brick screen walls that are currently in place at the edge of curb, and we will be looking to replace those as we widen the drive-through facility, working with staff through the plan review process to design all of that and improve the buffer area there. So the first variance request is the building setback. It's the 30-foot setback from the Sunset Boulevard right-of-way. We do have an encroachment for the meal delivery canopy. So at the meal delivery area, there's a proposed canopy, and that encroachment in the setback is 8.9 feet. And it is on the eastern portion of the canopy, and then it kind of tapers down.
That's what's shown in this drawing.
In that exhibit right there, that red area is the encroachment area. So the max is 8.9 feet, but then it tapers down. So our request is a variance for reducing that setback in that area.
Should I test him on his engineering skills and tell if he can tell me what the actual amount of space is in that triangle?
No. No, I
I
can't.
think we actually have that on the plan.
See?
I might have it in my notes, 282 square feet.
I don't know those numbers. I know other numbers.
This is why I'm an industrial engineer, not
This
this
is
kind of
why-
engineer. I just can count like
This
this.
is why I'm a bean counter. I work with mechanical engineers, but,
Anything else we need to know?
I'm happy
Okay,
to
and-
answer any questions or.
Just one general, and I don't know if this really pertains, is the first one the awning? I'm
Yeah,
getting confused. Okay.
this is the awning only, not the
So
curb.
if I had questions kind of about traffic pattern, that would be more on the second one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll hold.
Yep. You brought up the, I forget how you referred to it, the brick canopy, out on the outside. I forget how you,
The brick wall?
the brick wall, thank you,
Brick wall.
yeah. That's, I want a little bit of clarification. Is that being rebuilt in a similar fashion? I mean, another brick wall of some other fashion, or is that outside of our scope?
I mean, it is outside of your scope, but just so that you're aware, I believe that that was a requirement during the initial development because architectural and appearance standards state that if you have a driveway along a roadway or drive-through along a roadway, you have to do enhanced landscaping and screening to include walls or berms to try to screen that from the roadway. So
that is being covered. We don't need to be concerned with that.
no, but I think you intend to replace that. am I
Yeah,
correct?
talking with the team, we do intend to
Yes.
replace that feature.
Okay. And currently on that site, I never go through that drive-through because it's not any fun. Truth. Because of the grade differentiation, is there any type, is it just a standard curb currently, or is there any kind of retaining wall for that, how it's developed currently?
So there is not a retaining wall currently, it's just the brick screen wall.
Okay. If we give this variance and you go to this second lane, speaking as a professional, which I don't know geotechnical, are you going to have any type of retaining wall, or will a standard curb work at the side of where this new drive will be in place?
Yeah, so we're likely going to be looking at portions of a retaining wall along the expanded curb, probably in the northeast corner. That's
Okay.
where our grade difference is the most, kind of where we have the next case, the landscape buffer encroachment. But we
Okay.
are anticipating that.
Other questions?
I have none.
Good. Okay, anyone, thank you. Anyone here to speak against this variance request? All right.
Can I ask a question?
Of course you can ask a
So,
question.
here's the thing, I feel like in my brain that we might be getting the cart before the horse, because if we don't agree for a dual lane, why would they need the dual canopies? Does that make sense?
That does make sense, and that's my fault for putting it on the agenda the way that I did. But, I mean,
All right, so can I
Do
make
you
a
want
suggestion?
to
Can we table this for a moment
then go ahead
do
and
number,
address number
do number 3?
3, yes.
And we're not going to make you say it again.
Okay.
All right,
So do we wanna move
let's
to that
do
one?
number 3 really quick.
Okay,
Good call, Dawn.
yeah.
Very good call.
All right, so variance 2025-4B, Chick-fil-A Inc. has submitted a request for a variance from the Town of Lexington setback buffer ordinance to install a dual lane drive-through at 4295 Sunset Boulevard. To construct that, the drive-through must comply with the current preservation corridor buffer requirements, which mandates that a 20-foot buffer area must be maintained from the front property line. The applicant is requesting the variance to allow the drive-through pavement and curbing to encroach 1.4 feet into the buffer area.
So I do have one question with regards to this. Okay, so as it currently is, it tapers down, I call it the right-hand corner, the top, and then, of course, you go to the window, and it's one lane. So we're going to widen that, but it's still going to filter into the one lane as it dumps back into the parking lot, is that correct?
Yeah, so as you come around the northwest corner of the building, the other side, kind of towards Jenny Lane, it will taper down into one lane.
Okay.
As it enters the parking area, yes.
Is this, I mean, I know that it's probably, business process improvements and whatnot, but my concern is for the traffic flow. That's a pretty crazy intersection. In my mind, it would improve that just because you've got dual lanes all the way around the building. Has there been any?
Three-quarters of the way around.
Yes.
You wouldn't have as much backup.
Right.
Well, I mean, who knows on any given day, but depending upon the lead driver exiting from the parking lot, I'm not going to be unrealistic to say what this is going to do to me personally. Oh, first, you want to hear him talk about this, or we want to go ahead and just move forward? I didn't know.
I guess my only question, and
Go
I
ahead.
just can't remember. So where you exit right there after you come through the drive-through, is that also an entrance point?
No.
It is not?
No.
Exit only.
Exit only.
Exit right only.
Right
exiting,
only,
yes,
nobody,
Jenny
like,
Lane.
so nobody coming up to the light from Jenny Lane can turn right into the parking lot right there? Is that correct?
Not unless they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Okay,
Someone can come into the parking lot if they're coming from the direction of Chili's or the urgent care.
Okay.
They can make a right turn, and can they not?
It's a right out only.
Right out only?
Okay.
Okay. But they could leave the drive-through and go straight and exit out the back of the parking lot.
I do want to note that we have had a pre-development meeting on this project prior to this, and our transportation engineer director, Randy Edwards, has reviewed this, and he has provided comments on, and reviewed it for traffic flow reasons.
Okay,
So
okay.
Anything we need to hear?
He has no concerns, and if he does, he'll make sure it's addressed, but I don't think it will affect that right out from my understanding. I know that they were asked to evaluate that at the pre-development meeting, but I know that they had discussions with Randy also because of the future transportation improvements with Sunset Split that are going to be taking place, that he has taken into consideration as well.
That would,
Okay.
you just took off my next question. And
Wonderful.
honestly, Dawn, the other thing I'm thinking about, I'm more concerned about loading 2 lanes of traffic because I've
Yep.
personally seen
it's chaotic.
the way people are fighting to get into your business, congratulations, they go up, they're going past the turn-in, they're going around the roundabout, cutting around because it backs up to get in the drive-through, thus it backs up all the way to Jenny Lane.
Yeah,
And so if this little, if
Agree.
this helps,
agree,
I think so.
yeah.
Cut
Yeah,
back on
and
backup.
there are improvements to widen the entrance to the drive-through to 2 lanes as well.
excellent,
Okay,
Good.
excellent.
okay.
So I guess we should allow you, would you like to speak to this one as thoroughly as you did the last one?
Yeah, I think really the thing to highlight is a 1.4-foot encroachment in the landscape buffer. It's just on that northeast corner. So max area or max depth of encroachment is 1.4, 18 inches. Square footage is 24 feet. So again, we'll have the grade difference in that area, probably a retaining wall. We'll work with staff through the buffering plan, make sure that street yards and street plantings are reincorporated if anything is taken out, and look at the screen walls.
Okay. I'm good.
Okay, so for record-keeping purposes,
Yes, ma'am.
we'll do a vote on 2, then 3. Is that
Okay.
cool?
That's fine.
But I thought we were
3 then 2.
evaluating 3 first,
Oh,
the
yeah,
curbing.
Sorry, you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
You're hurting my brain.
Yeah.
I need
Wait a
to-
minute.
it's 'cause you
We're
started
doing-
late.
Question for staff. So you mentioned Sunset Split. Is there anything coming with that would impact this request?
No, Randy has already evaluated,
Okay, just making sure.
evaluated all of that.
And I'm glad that we do have that on record.
Yeah.
All right, do I have a motion for,
Do we want to discuss?
oh, you want
amongst
to
ourselves
discuss?
first?
Sorry, I thought we
Anything
had.
to discuss?
My bad.
Sorry. No.
I'm getting hungry.
I think I got,
Thinking of benefit,
yeah,
dual lane,
I
keep
think
backup,
it's,
keep it
Well-
out of the streets.
And to Dawn's good point, we got to figure out this one first, because if we don't give this one, we can't even talk about the canopy,
Right, yeah, if they don't have 2 lanes, there's no need for a double canopy.
unless they just want to hang out.
Yeah.
Okay?
yeah.
You want to give it a go, Dawn?
I really don't. I'll do it next time, okay?
I've heard that before.
I know. You'll probably hear it again, if I'm being honest.
I'm going to have to give me some new people here. What's the variant? This is variance,
3D?
this is 20254?
Yes. 2025-4.
All right, so we're doing that one first, okay.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve variance 2025-4 for the following reasons. The extraordinary and exceptional conditions on this piece of property have to do with the grade differentiation from Highway 378 to the property. Number two, the conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity due to the the monument sign placement, the diagonal or the angled placement of the property line and the building structure. Number three, because the application of the ordinance would particularly, on this particular piece of property, would effectively prohibit it without. This is a necessary variance due to expansion of the drive-through to create a better traffic flow. And the authorization of the variance will not be a substantial detriment of the area or the public good due to the fact that the variance itself is such a small area, it will not be impactful to any other businesses in the area. I did it on the fly.
I like it.
Second.
You're out of order. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Roll call, Don Weatherly,
Yes to the motion.
Ron Fisher,
Yes to the motion.
Lori Fight,
Yes to the motion.
Justin Brown.
Yes to the motion.
All right, you got your 24 square feet of curb. Now let's see if we do the other one. Insert suspenseful music. All right, there's no point in you coming back up here. I think we're good, and if we have a question, we'll call you back up. So, talking about, this is 2025-3, right?
Correct.
All right, I wrote it wrong. What do y'all think?
Makes sense to me.
I mean, is there any, you got heartburn over any of it?
I do not.
And Dawn, just to reiterate your point, if we've got 2 lanes coming into the drive-through to begin with, 2 lanes through the ordering process, 2 lanes through the delivery process, if somebody's slow getting out, it's going to back up.
Yeah.
I mean, but we've also doubled from the order
The entry
place
point
to
as well.
back. And, you know, I don't know that, it's
don't-
going to be an improvement. Will it fix the problem completely? I haven't seen a Chick-fil-A
No.
yet that runs right. No
No.
offense, as far as the drive-through goes. It's a great problem to have.
Actually, I think it's very efficient. I mean, I am in and out very quickly at Chick-fil-A. You're very welcome.
Yeah, but is she a gold member point person like me with my apps? And no, I already am. And I
Thank you.
compare you to all the other Chick-fil-A's that I eat in most every week across the state, so. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the awnings, given the topography. I mean, you know, the one question that I had previously, but in thinking about it, because that is my local Chick-fil-A. You know, because 378 sits up higher, you know,
so you got this variance,
no. I mean, I do, but no.
Justin? Put your glasses on, so I didn't know if you had something you wanted to.
Well, I was just looking. So how much setback from the road will you still have? Because I know you've got 30 feet, well, you're wanting to get to like a 21-ish foot
21.
setback from the property line, but then there's extra property that the town, or the county has
DOT.
outside, the DOT has, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so from the proposed edge of the canopy, the eastern corner,
The back corner.
where we have the 8.9
Yes.
encroachment, from that point to the back of curb along Sunset Boulevard is 42 feet.
Okay, so
So,
still a great deal of space.
yeah,
And you're still not inside the landscape buffer either, even with the canopy
Correct.
extension, you still, okay. So that still leaves 20 feet to the property line easily, so.
Now, are there any concerns, I don't, just thinking of, maybe this is outside of my scope. Is there any concerns in the event of protecting staff? Is there something, anything there going to slow a car down if it comes over that hill? I mean, I know you've got retaining wall area that you're talking about, but, like I said, this may be outside of scope. That would be my only concern. Somebody comes around and comes down that 42 feet into your drive-through, God forbid. But I don't know if that's something.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that if we're talking about a large retaining wall, several feet in height, then there are requirements on the high side of that to incorporate some sort of fence or barrier.
I respect your employees that stand out like mailmen, rain, snow, or whatever. So I just want to make sure they're safe.
Yeah, and we are planning the screen wall, which will help that situation too.
All right. I would like to make a motion to approve variance 2024-3 for the following reasons. Number one, I'm not going to read the questions. Y'all know what they are. Due to location, abutting and that is a preservation district. Hold on, I'm stopping for a second. That is a preservation corridor.
Yes.
Due to the fact that the property is abutting a preservation corridor and the fact that Highway 378 is part of that, it's unlikely that the road will ever be expanded. So the loss of that 8 feet is not going to affect any future development of Highway 378. Because of the second condition, because the parcel shape is being affected by the monument sign located on the far corner of the site, this does not apply to any other property in the vicinity. Number three, with the variance, traffic issues will continue. Without the variance, the traffic conditions would continue to be hazardous during peak meal times and business times. And finally, number four, the slight variance requested will not only improve the character of the district, it'll be a positive impact to traffic flow in the area. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Roll call, Don Weatherly,
Yes to the motion.
Ron Fisher,
Yes to the motion.
Troy Putt,
Yes to the motion.
Justin Brown.
Yes to the motion.
You have both of your variances. We'll see you Saturday morning at 7. All righty. So now you guys have had a lesson in how this works. Don't screw this up.
Well, Mike was here last month, or a month or so ago, so.
So I need to apologize to him. It is my fault.
No,
Okay, but,
not on this one.
okay.
You're good.
All right.
He takes it all back.
Then it's not my fault.
It was
She
the
did
other two
it.
applicants, but I mean, they're all gone now, so, no, I'm just kidding.
Well, you should have told me. I would have apologized because it was I told her I could be here and could not.
It's okay. All right, you ready for 2025?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. ECPCHS2 LLC has submitted a request for a variance from the Town of Lexington setback ordinance to construct a warehouse addition at 117 Pride's Way. The existing structure is a legal non-conforming building with a setback of 15 feet from the side property line. In order to construct the proposed addition, the building must comply with current setback requirements, which mandate a 30-foot setback from the side property line. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow the addition to maintain the same 15-foot setback as the existing structure, thereby aligning with the current building.
Okay. I'd like to hear from the applicant.
My name is Mike Ray with HP Engineering, representing the applicant today. Basically, 117 Pride's Way was built back in 2012, 2013. At that time, it met the current the zoning that was in place then with the 15-foot setback. Since then, the codes have changed, I think, a couple of times. And now they're
2022.
changed 2022. Now, in that industrial zone requires a 30-foot setback. Basically, the building, essentially what we're proposing is a 25-foot addition to the back of the building.
Okay. Staff, could you give me a definition for the record of what a legal nonconformity is?
It's a building that was constructed under previous zoning codes and met the codes at that time, or either was annexed in prior to, or after it was constructed, and the building legally exists in a non-conforming state.
So for layman's terms, it was grandfathered.
Essentially, yes.
Okay, thank you. Have there been, who are you, looking at the site plan, and I'm looking at it like this with the banner on the side, looking at it, who are your neighbors?
It's all industrial, and if you look at most of the other, there's another building.
Okay, so,
It's probably 10
Yeah.
feet off the line.
but there is another business of some sort on this property?
Yes.
On this side. Have you had any complaints or anything from?
No one reached out after the public notices were mailed and posted on site and
Thank you.
advertised.
Okay. Wait a second. Anybody have questions for the applicant?
No, because you asked what I was going to.
I'm sorry, you should have told me.
It's okay.
I like the sound of my voice, but I like
I
yours
know
too.
you do.
Okay, discussion.
I think I'm good.
And you did say the property to the west, that the building is how far off the line approximately?
I'd say probably about 10 feet. I mean, that's, back when these lots were developed, that was, in general, they put them 10 feet off. These are not, I believe that the industrial zone is really more intended for bigger structures than this. These are small 5 to 6,000 square foot warehouses.
Yep. And is there, I can't tell, I see, is that, Ron, is this property line or is
Yes.
that? So who is to the north or would be at your back door, or I guess it's your side door looking at this property?
That's, a detention pond.
Behind the detention pond?
Are you talking about like
I'm
the
talking about
triangle?
where he's got the concrete details here.
Oh, sorry.
In this area, is there a neighbor back that way as well?
It's another industrial user.
Okay.
Yeah, this whole area is nothing, it's inline properties. So it's all,
I think Inline is a paving company,
yeah, I think
maybe?
they're a paving company, but
Okay.
it's all industrial warehousing type uses.
It's, okay, so to that point, it's warehouse. Will there be trucks that, I mean, this might be a dumb question, my apologies if it is, but will there be trucks that will be entering, will this be an access point for like large trucks or anything in the back of the building?
Nothing more than, it's just more space for them to store. It's an electrical contractor. I mean, he
Gotcha.
gets, box trucks and things.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but there's no, Dawn, I'm looking at the plans, I don't see any driveway that accesses the back of the building.
No, sir.
It's not a loading
We're not
area.
adding any more doors. It's just
It's just
more.
Pushing
space,
back.
Pushing the wall back for more storage.
And from an architectural standpoint, I'm assuming,
That doesn't apply in the industrial zoning.
so it could be a different color, it doesn't matter, it's outside of our scope, I understand
would
that.
hope that the owner would not do a different color, but, yeah, we don't look at it for architectural standards in
Okay.
the industrial zone.
Our friend's trying to get away from the podium, does anybody have
No,
any
he's like,
questions for him?
I said what I said.
He's backing away like a man
what
on
I
a
said.
bad first date. No.
Yeah. it's-
Thank you. We'll holler if we need you to come back.
Yeah.
And I think this goes without saying, but is there anyone here to speak against this variance? Mary used to do that, and I haven't done that.
Yeah.
I want to be like Mary, so.
Me too.
All right, discussion.
Existing building's already there. That met code, so,
Great.
Okay.
and if the other buildings are within 10, 15 feet of the line,
Yeah.
don't see an issue.
Looking at the size, my take on it was looking at the size of the building, plus looking at the location, and for lack of a better terminology, it's in the backyard. It's away from site, and I'm assuming when you see Pride's Way, if you look down here on the bottom of the drawing, there's a circle, like a court,
That's
for the access in and out. Being Dawn's good point that we're not pushing any traffic around the building, it's literally just a storage facility of an existing, and there's no neighbor complaints. I don't really see a reason why this wouldn't be.
Struggling with number 2.
Oh, yeah? You got something for number 2?
No,
I'm not making another one. When are y'all going to do this?
I'll do it.
First one.
I make a motion to approve
There you go, Ron. Be the man.
2025-5V.
1 second before you start. We've never asked this question. As he's making a motion, are we allowed to help as he's moving along? I don't know how that works.
Generally, the one that makes the motion does, but
I mean, I'm asking
Team
for
sport.
yeah.
Make it a team sport.
And we're volunteers. We're kind of on-the-job training. We're on-the-job training.
Yeah.
And that's no
You're fine.
offense.
Do I have
That's
to
no-
read 1 and 2 and 3, or can I just go for?
You need to reference them because she's writing them down.
All right, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property in question because of its size, shape, or topography. These circumstances are described as follows. You have an existing building that met zoning code, and you're just extending it. 2, these conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. We have other buildings that are within less than 15 feet off the property line. Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. There's what I have my,
Zoning laws changed after the original
go.
construction of the
There it
building?
Yeah.
You have to say it, though.
zoning laws changed
In this.
After the construction.
after the construction. Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance, I already read that one. The authorization of the variance will not be a substantial detriment to the adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. And again, other buildings in the area do not meet the current zoning.
All right, do I have a second?
Second,
Roll call vote, please.
Roll call, Don Weatherly,
yes to the motion?
Ron Fisher,
Yes to the motion.
Lori Fight,
Yes to the motion.
Justin Brown.
Yes to the motion.
All right, you got your variance.
Have a
Thank
good
you very
night.
much. Nice to see you. It took me a minute until you identified yourself. I'm like, he's been here before.
Yeah, I'm gonna call the attorney. Another section says it is not, so it's contradicting.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, approval of the minutes. Y'all, I don't know if you did. I read this. I'm like, that wasn't last month. I'm like, yeah, it was. Approval of minutes for January 2nd, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second?
I wasn't here.
Oh, you weren't here.
Was that for the January meeting?
I wasn't here. You can.
Yeah, second. Yes, I was.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
They're approved. Anything from staff that we need to be aware of?
We will have a meeting next month. That would be March, or April, no, we're March.
All right.
April 10th.
All right. Troy is looking at his calendar right now with witnesses. There's nothing on my calendar for April the
10th? No.
10th.
Not the first Thursday.
Yeah, it should be the 3rd.
Should be the 3rd.
You're right. I'm thinking about Board of Appearance, because that's another one. Sorry, I apologize. A lot going on
Okay.
around the town. You are correct. It is April the 3rd.
Okay.
Yep. And 5:30 is fine, and we were just talking.
But if it's
The bad thing
easier-
is, what we recognize is if we move it to 5:45 or 6, that just means you guys have to sit here for that much longer and wait for us to get here.
Right.
Can you come in an hour later on Thursdays?
I mean, that's our determination of how we handle that. If it works easier for the overall good of the board, then I am fine with moving it to 6. But that is up to you all. If that, I mean, I know that some of you are traveling from Columbia, so it is, Ron doesn't get to
Ron
vote
walks here
because he
from his
walks here.
house.
Ron's very distressed about his travel.
So, but no, I mean, if it makes it easier.
Honestly, what do you think? I mean,
5:45 would help.
Yeah, I would say 5:45, I mean, 5:45 or 6.
it does give that buffer, because even if I'm in town, depending upon traffic in this area,
Yeah.
That's fine.
plus 2,
Ron, will that give you enough time?
5:45?
one other thing
That'll be
too.
close, but I can get here.
Thank you.
On that note, and I don't know if and Dawn brought this up in passing, with the summer concert series starting back up soon on Thursdays, that means that there'll be people here. is it possible, or is that just asking too much? If it's just the four of us.
It is in the ordinance of when these are held, so I would have to change the date, the first Thursday.
No.
No, we're
I
talking
mean,
about parking
could you,
designate.
can we, is
we
that
get
too much to
reserved
say, throw 4 cones out?
Okay,
Yeah.
I understand now. I was like,
And if you could, and I'm not trying to be a prima donna about it, but again, I don't really want to park,
Yeah.
My
on
concern
county
is,
building.
Ron really doesn't want to have to walk here.
right.
Well,
he
you
did-
don't need to. You need a temporary handicap.
My concern is honestly, I mean,
Is this
like
all
today,
on the
I just never know
Drive
what
my
traffic's
golf
going to
cart down
be.
here and
And then
park
if
anywhere.
it's concert series,
yes.
and then I'm having to struggle to find somewhere to park,
I will
then,
reach out with
Okay.
administration and get confirmation if that is allowed.
Okay, and again, we're not trying to make a problem. All right, couple other things. Any update on the window cling ordinance?
I have received a recommendation from our Small Business Advisory Committee, and I will be taking temporary sign research that I've completed and their recommendation per council's instruction to to Planning Commission in our March meeting. So then after that, depending on if they need to have more time for discussion or whatever they decide, will determine my next step. So if they're ready and willing to make a recommendation at the March meeting, then I will be able to take it to the next town council work session, which would be in April.
Okay. And again, this is, I apologize that I don't know this information, but I have kind of been a bit busy. Do we have legal staff?
We have a contract attorney. His name is David Epperson. He's with Parker Poe, and he is with us until we hire someone.
Okay.
I believe they've been in the interview process, but I've not been involved in that, so I'm not 100% sure.
And the reason I started with the question about legal representation, because I know I've made a request to you about what we can or can't do.
Yep, I'm
And
working on that.
that was great tonight, and not throwing stones at anybody. It's very uncomfortable for all of us to do the little blue sheet. It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I would like it reworded.
Yeah.
Well, that would
That's
cause
state
us to
law.
reword state law, so
Yeah.
unfortunately I can't.
But what I think and I'm going to request again, and this is not like fussing, I would like to have a training session where maybe we don't have to go through it, but
Right.
to say, all right, you need to work, maybe you give us homework or whatever to say, okay, this is going to be a variance you give, fill out the form.
Right.
And us have it in a discussion
I do
format.
plan to schedule that.
Yep.
Right now,
And it may not count as our training, but I think it would be good for our board.
Yeah.
right, and I agree with you. Right now, though, I have competing priorities
Yes,
that
ma'am.
have taken my attention to elsewhere. We do have the contract attorney. I am planning to have discussion with him because I also need to schedule training for my other boards about what we can do. I specifically want to schedule training just for you all on a date that we can agree upon, that he is available to do that because he can host it. And he's very good. He used to be a county attorney, and then he was, I think he was promoted into the county administration position, so he sees a lot of what we do and he understands it. So I think he would be a good source of information to help us with that. It's on my agenda to get it scheduled. So it probably will be maybe, I don't know that it'll be in the next month, but I hope to get it within the next 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, that's fine.
Then we get into summer months and people are on vacation. So,
Yeah.
I would like to get it scheduled though. So
And again, I want to make sure you understand, I'm not fussing in any way.
No.
I just, what I sense and what in discussions we've had, we want to be the best that we can be
and I appreciate that.
and do this with what the town has entrusted us to be professional in
Yes.
doing that,
Yeah.
while still having fun, because it is me.
Yeah, I think y'all are doing great. But yes, it's on my agenda to get taken care of.
All right, any other questions for staff?
Nope.
No.
Dawn, you got nothing tonight?
nope.
All right, I'd have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you for watching. If you are watching tonight, volunteer, get involved in the town.